Good evening. This is Blue Sky Citadel, and this is the mobile testing training session. Today we'll continue on installing APPIUM using Node and Node.js. Using Node Package Manager and Node.js. We'll also go through uh, APPIUM Doctor. We did that last week. I'm going to do a recap on all those, and today as well we would also look at how to connect a Android mobile device to Windows machine. We looked at what is APPIUM. We looked at APPIUM architecture. We looked at how APPIUM works, and we look at APPIUM desired capabilities, and we installed APPIUM on Windows. Now, I'm just going to quickly go through for a lot of people to understand what we've done. And before I do that, I'll just quickly give you a recap of this one. So we talked about APPIUM. APPIUM is an open source tool that is used to automate mobile application, and it is written in Node.js. Now it supports Android, iOS, Windows and Windows desktop platforms. It supports multiple programming languages, and it is an open source framework. Now, APPIUM is a HTTP server written in Node.js, and it's a client-server architecture. What we mean by client-server is that the client is the programming languages, and the server is the APPIUM server, which takes instruction from the APPIUM client, and then now uses these instructions on mobile devices, either using the UI automation for Android or UI automation for iOS, or the UI automator for Android. So basically, that is the way APPIUM works, and this is the diagram of how it works. As I said to you, the client side is the programming languages. The programming languages are written on top of your Selenium WebDriver, and then this carries the JSON wire protocol, then translates these commands in a readable format for APPIUM to understand this. The APPIUM then now works on these commands, to automate the devices, and also the Windows application, and also the Windows desktop application as well. Now we talked about the desired capabilities. Now we said these are keys and values sent to the APPIUM server to let you know what type of automation session we are interested in starting. Now they go as JSON objects on the APPIUM server for it to handle the request on the device. So we said that part of the desired capabilities are, I gave you an example, and I said the device name, it has to be on the desired capabilities. The UDID is basically the I'm going to show you what the UDID today when I connect a mobile device. Is basically the serial number of your mobile device, and also the application platform. The platform name. If you are using an Android device, it should be an Android device. If it is an iOS device, it should be an iOS device. And the platform version. There are many versions of Android. An example is version 6. I'll show you how to get the platform version on your mobile application as well. And if time permits us, we'll look at what app package. We look at how to get your app package and your app activity. These are basically the app package and the app activity. They are app related information that you get from the application that you are trying to automate, and the app activity is also the app information from the application that you're trying to work on. Now we shall start what we want to do today, and basically I'm going to go step by step into showing you how to install APPIUM with Node.js, and we shall also go through the installation of APPIUM desktop clients as well, and also the APPIUM Doctor and We'll then go through the connecting a mobile device to a Windows machine. Now, so the first thing I'm going to do now, from as you can see from the slide, is to check if Node.js is installed on your machine. So the first thing that you do is to come to your machine and then search for command prompt. You can just type CMD, and then it will bring you this command prompt application, and then for you to check if if Node.js is installed on your machine, the command is node space -v, and you can see that from the message coming up on the command prompt, node is not recognized as an internal or external command on this machine. So for me to be able to get Node onto my device, what I need to do is to go onto the internet, type Node version or download Node, and then you go into the Node.js website, is nodejs.org. Click on downloads, and then you find so it brings you to the last download. So we have here on this site, the latest version is 10.16.0, and depending on the machine that you're using, if you are using a Windows machine, you have the binaries. So you have the bit size for the depending on the bit size of your Windows machine, whether it's 32 bits or 64 bits. Oh, well, I'm already installing. Let me just cancel this. Hold on. All right, don't worry. All right, so depending on the version of your machine, you have the different installation files for you to download. Now, the one way you can check for the machine version on your device, if you go to your device information, okay, all right. If you come here, if you go to your PC, right click on properties, and then when you click on properties, you see the machine type. For me here is 64 bytes, so that is what I'm going to download. So you go to your this PC, you go to your PC, you right click, and you click on properties, and then it should give you your device information there. So that's how to get the information on your device. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to download the 64-bit installer onto my machine, and then if I go to my downloads, I should have this. Yes. All right. What I'm going to do, I'm going to delete the two because I don't know which one. Okay. So what I'm going to do again is I'm going to re-download it again here. So I'm going to click on that. So once that is downloaded onto your machine, you go to the folder where it is downloaded, and then you double click on it, and then you click on run. So this will start running on your machine, and then it will bring up a message. So I'm waiting for that to run now. You get this message saying Node.js setup. And one thing that you need to understand is that while you're installing Node.js onto your computer, you're also installing Node Package Manager, which is called NPM. So it is the Node Package Manager that you would be using to install APPIUM on your computer. So, and before I continue as well, one thing that I'm trying to do tonight is to show you how to install APPIUM in two ways. One way is via the Node.js, using Node Package Manager to install APPIUM, and the other way is by installing the desktop clients, which I will be showing you later. So you click next when you get the message, you accept the license agreement, you click next again, and then it will tell you the location where the Node.js is going to be installed. here is installing my program files on the C drive. Now it's telling me that it's going to install Node.js runtime, which is okay. Node.js package manager is going to add to path as well, and then all that online documentation as well. So that is all fine. I click next, and then I click install. So this is now installing on my machine as I want it to. So it's copying new files into my machine. You remember that when I first of all typed, when I typed in the command here, when I typed in the command node v, you can also use another thing you can also do is to use node version, node dash version, yeah, or you can use node v. Either of them would work. So you can see that node is not recognized on my machine now. So now that I've installed node successfully, I click finish. And so if I now close this command prompt, let me close it and open a new one. So all you need to do is type cmd, and then it opens up. Now, if I type node v, so it's telling me that node is on the machine on my computer now, and it's version 10.1.6. I hope you can see this. Yeah. So it's telling me that node has been installed on my computer. Now, if I need to check for npm, if npm is installed, because when I install Node.js, I'm also installing npm. npm stands for Node Package Manager. So for me to check that, I can say node npm v and click enter. Then it will tell me that the package manager version is 6.9.0 as well. So you can either use npm v or npm space -version. Another way to check whether you have installed node and npm on your machine is to type where node. If you type where node and click enter, it tells you where the node is installed. It says the node is installed on the C drive and all that. So that is basically how to install node on your computer. Now, so the next thing for us to do now is to so we've installed node on the machine. We've verified that node is installed on the computer. Now the next thing that we need to do is to install APPIUM. Now for you to install APPIUM, we shall be using the node package manager, and the command to use for installing APPIUM is npm. You leave a space, you type install, you leave a space, and then you type in -, and G. The reason why we are using G is to say that it's to make it global for all users coming up to this machine to be able to access and use APPIUM. And then we leave a space, and then we type APPIUM. So this command is npm space install space -G space APPIUM, and then you click enter. So now you can see that the session has started. It's starting to install APPIUM on the machine, and it's extracting the files as you can see right now. So this is going to take a while, but it's going to complete in no time. So basically what we are doing now is just installing APPIUM using the command line tool method. Yep. Yeah, so it's found the Java version, and all right, so APPIUM has been installed successfully, and it is being verified by saying that APPIUM 1.14.0 added 574 packages, blah blah blah, onto the machine. Now, to verify that we have APPIUM on the machine, we can type where APPIUM, and then so you can see I've typed where APPIUM on the command prompt, and it says APPIUM is stored, has been downloaded and stored, blah blah blah, in this drive or in this location on my computer. So for me to start using APPIUM now, what I need to do is to just type basically APPIUM and then click enter. So there's a message coming up on the machine now which says welcome to APPIUM version blah blah blah. APPIUM REST HTTP interface started on port 4723. So basically APPIUM is running on the machine now. Alright, so if I stop, while this is what I'm going to do, for me to stop APPIUM running on the machine, all I need to do is to press Ctrl C. If you press Ctrl C on your machine, it will stop APPIUM from running. Hold on. Hold, yeah. This is taking a bit of kind of slow. To stop APPIUM from running, all you need to do is to type Ctrl C, and then it should give you the message blah blah blah, terminate batch job, and what you want to do is to say yes. Just type terminate batch job, yep, and then just type yes and click enter, and that will terminate it here. So basically what I've done is to install Node first, and then install APPIUM via the command line method. And basically these are the commands that we've used. We've checked for our Node version. We've installed APPIUM globally, and then we've checked the APPIUM version, and we've run APPIUM using the command line method. Alright, so the next thing we're going to be looking at now is to install bear with me. Yeah, is to install APPIUM Doctor, and we said APPIUM Doctor helps us to verify that the requirements are met. All the dependencies and requirements to use APPIUM are met. Sorry. Now to install APPIUM Doctor, if you want to find out more about APPIUM Doctor, you can go to this link. Let me open up the link for you. If you go to this link, sorry, I'm not here. If you go to this link, it's a Git hub link. So basically, you would find, if you scroll down to the bottom, you'll find information. So attempt to diagnose and fix Node iOS and Android configuration issues before starting APPIUM. So to install the APPIUM Doctor, this is the command that you need to type. So I'm just going to go back to the command prompt, and then we can install APPIUM. So basically, you need to type in npm install APPIUM -, Doctor, and then G. So basically that will start extracting all the files that is required to install the APPIUM Doctor. And it's very important that you install this so that you can then check, you can use the helper to check for any kind of issues, or to check the version, or to check any kind of configuration or dependencies that you might need to be able to use APPIUM successfully on your computer. What I would encourage us to do is to go through this, Google what APPIUM Doctor is, find out more about what it does and how to apply it. Yeah. So I'm still waiting for that to be installed. Once you know the command lines, the commands to run the command line tool and to install Node, APPIUM, and the Doctor, I'm sure you'll be fine to use APPIUM. So this is taking a bit of time. Right. So so what we've done is to install the after installing the APPIUM Doctor, we've now run the command APPIUM dash doctor dash h to give us the full list of options that we can check for in order for us to debug or resolve issues, or to check for dependencies required for our APPIUM setup. So I'm just going to check quickly. I'm just going to check to see whether we have an iOS setup or an Android setup of the machine. So what I need to just type is APPIUM Doctor and then Android, and then so so it says it gives us the Node version, and then dependency starting. It's still, the command is still running. All right, so the command has finished running now, and so the command, just for me to repeat what I've done, I've run a command APPIUM -doctor space dash dash iPhone Android, and what I'm trying to ask APPIUM Doctor to check is whether I have my Android setup configured on this machine, and it's come back to tell me that Android home is not set. You can see it's found the Java home, the Java version. Java is installed, Node is installed, Android home is not set. So basically, it's just a tool for you that gives you the functionality to know the dependencies that if you have the right dependencies for APPIUM to work as it should, or tells you what you need to do and how to fix the issues and all that. So basically, that is about installing Node and also installing APPIUM via the Node package manager. Right, so we are going to move into today's what we intend to do today, and basically what we are going to be doing today is to install how to connect a real Android mobile device on your Windows machine. Part of the prerequisites that we need to have in order to be able to install, in order to be able to connect a real Android device to your Windows machine, is to have your Java home set up in your Java home set up in your environment variables. I'm sure that we would have looked at this while doing the automation. Right. So after installing Java and setting up the environment variables for Java home, we've checked that we have Java installed on our machine using the Java space hyphen version. Now, as part of connecting a real mobile device to your Windows machine, you need an Android mobile device. You need a USB connecting cable, and you also need a bit of space on your machine. Now, the first thing that we need to do is to go to this website to download our Android SDK. Is the Android software development kit tool. So if you go to this website, so it's going to load. It's going to. So if you go to develop, so you need to basically, this is what you need to do. Let me just show you. You need to go to google.com, and then you need to type Android download Android SDK. Yeah, and then it brings you to this page, download Android SDK. Click on that link. Then, so we are not going to be downloading the studio because we don't need it for what we intend to do. What we are going to be downloading is the command line tool. So basically, what you need to do is to scroll down to the command line tools only. So this is the command line tool. So and then depending on what operating system that you're using, you need to download. You click on the download zip file. So hold on. Yeah, you click on the. So I'm using a Windows machine, so I'm downloading the SDK tool package for a Windows machine, and that will be downloaded onto my machine. Alright, so once that finishes, I open up the folder. It's in my folder, and then what do I want to do to it? I want to unzip it. I want to extract the content of it into a folder. I think, do I have give access? So maybe, okay. Yes, I want to extract the content of the zip file. So I'm going to click extract file. Where do I want to extract it? Let me extract it to my desktop. So I click OK, and then I'm extracting this to my desktop here. So what we are doing now is, alright, so what we are doing basically, before we continue, let me just quickly talk about something. There will be. Alright, so I have extracted the SDK tools onto my desktop, and I've opened it up, and inside the tools I expect to have a bin folder, which I have, and inside the bin folder, so basically you would have the Android emulator, you have the and some other files, you have the support, and you have the bin folder, and you have the libraries, but I'm more interested in the bin folder, so I go into the bin folder, and I have here the SDK manager. So we're going to be using the SDK manager to download the platform tools for the Android version that we're going to be using to do the automation on the mobile application. And before I do that, there's something else which I'm just going to show you quickly. Now, for you to be one thing that you need an application. You need to be able to connect your Android device to your machine, and what this device does is basically it gives you a user interface of your machine on your computer, so you can then control control the mobile device from your computer. So and what you need to do is to go onto Google, type Visor, VYSOR, or you can just say Visor extension for Android. Sorry, Visor extension for Chrome. So once you click that, you're going to. So yeah, so you just. I have this installed already, so I'm just launching it. It's already launched. But basically, what you need to do is go to Google, type Visor extension for Chrome. Then it will give you the option to install that. So basically, it's just an add-on to your Chrome machine, and you get the next stage is for you to, and then once it's been installed as an extension onto your Chrome, you would have this UI coming up, and then you connect your mobile device to your you connect using your USB cable. You connect your mobile device to your computer. And then before you do that, another thing that you need to do before you do that, in order to be able to access the device on your machine, is to go to, I'm going to show you now, just bear with me. Alright, so you go to your settings, so you go to your phone, because if you don't do this, you won't be able to access the, alright, so you go to your settings, let me, oh, no, sorry. Alright, so you go to your settings, you go to your about phone, depending on what kind of phone, I'm using a Samsung phone, and then you go to software information, and then you find something called build number. You need to click on it 7 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And once you click on it 7 times, it should give you an option at the bottom. The thing is that, all right, let me do this again. Let me just shut down my debugger option. All right, so if I do this, the thing is that you won't be able to see my developer options you won't be able to see my developer options on the screen. So what I advise you to do is to look on your Android device, go to about phone, and then depending on what device you're using, go to the software information, and then click on build number 7 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and on the 7th time it should give you a new bar here saying developer options. And once you come out of that, that screen, you should have the developer options, a new tab here called developer options. And when you go into that tab, developer options, you would look for debug. There should be another one called USB debugging. So when you go into USB debugging, you need bear with me, so it's gone off. Yeah, that's because I turned off my USB debugging, so I need to turn it back on. It should come up now. All right, so you see so you should have this USB debugging set on. Without that being set on, you won't be able to see the screen of your mobile device on your Windows on your computer. So that's the reason why I don't want to start this from scratch, because if I do that, you'll be able to see what I'm doing. But basically, if you follow through the process of what I've explained to you, you should have your debugger on, and also you should have the developer options on. So the first thing to do is, I'm going to reiterate it, go over this again. The first thing you need to do is to come to about phone, look for build number, click this 7 times. On the 7th time, it should give you a new tab at the bottom here called developer options. Once you go to that developer options, you would be able to find USB debugger, and when you click your USB debugger, then you find your mobile device. You'll be able to access the mobile device screen on your computer. So that is how to see the screen of your mobile device on your computer. Now, before another thing I need to show you quickly here is how to locate the Android version. So if I go to about phone, software information, and then if I come here, all right, so the Android version I'm using is 8.00. That is how to find your Android version. So you find it in your software information. So that's about that. Now I've extracted the SDK software SDK tools, and then I have the SDK manager. So now what I'm going to do now is to go back to the URL, to go to website of the Android, where we've downloaded the Android tools from, and then I'm going to go to, I'm going to look for documentation. The reason why I'm taking you through this is so that you understand what we need to do to, yeah, just bear. All right, so now I'm going to go back to the user guide, and then here I'm going to go. So I'm going back to the user guide. On the left-hand side, we have the command line tools. Then I'm going to. So if you know, I showed you in my folder. I showed you this. We are interested in the SDK manager. We're going to be using the SDK manager to download the SDK platform tools. And it is within the platform tools that we need the ADB debugger, Android debug bridge, to be able to access the mobile phone. For APPIUM needs this to be able to access the application on your mobile device, and then we can be able to control the mobile device effectively. So here on the right hand side, you look for SDK manager. So this is the SDK manager. So once you click on the SDK manager, it gives you documentation about what SDK manager is. So SDK manager is a command line tool that allows you to view, install, update, and uninstall packages for your Android software development kit. So it's just it's just something that helps you to install, update and uninstall different things for your SDK manager. Now, so for us to be able to, so I would say that you should go through this documentation so that you'll really understand what you're trying to do and what SDK manager is. We shall be using the SDK manager to install the SDK platform tools, and the SDK platform for you to be able. So someone rightly asked me a question about is version 12 all right? Yes, version 12 is all right. Now, uh, it, to determine the right SDK tool that you need, so what you need to do is to go onto the internet and type for Android versions. So when you are for we all have different versions of mobile phone devices that we're using. For us to be able to download the right one, we need to go to these websites. We need to go to Wiki and type in Android versions. So I'm using Android version 8. So you can see that Android version 8, and then so here we have the code. Here we have the code name. Here we have the Android version, and here we have the API level. So what we are trying to do is to find the API level of the Android version of our mobile device, and then install the platform tools for that API level. So for me, I have Android version 8, and the API level is 26 to 27. So for the other person who said he has Android version 12, he's going to be needing API level 29. So, but to be honest, if you download, if you depending on the Android version that you have, if you download API, any of these higher API levels, you should be able to use these for all the lower versions of Android, all the lower Android versions that you may have. So at this point, I'm just going to download API level 28. So we have this here. So the API level, so it's giving us an example how to install the latest platform tools, which will include the ADB and the Fastboot and the SDK tools for API level 28. So click on copy, just copy the API level 28. So for people that have lower Android versions, all you can do is just copy this, and then I'll show you how to change it to a lower version for you to be able to use successfully. All right. So now if I come back to the SDK platform tool, that we've installed. So we've installed it, we've opened it, and we are now in the bin folder. So in the bin folder, what we need to do is to click on. We need to We need to click on. We need to open this in command prompt. And the easiest way for you to be able to open it, if you don't know how to navigate using, manually from your rather than having to type everything from this blah 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 open. So the best way for you to do that is to come here, type CMD on the control in this search bar. If you type CMD and click enter, it opens up that folder location for you. So rather than having to type all this to navigate to that folder, what you need to do is to come back here, go back into the bin folder, highlight that, type CMD, click enter, and then it opens up your command line. Yeah, and you then go back and copy your API level for the platform to download the platform level, and then you just paste it here, Control V. All right, so it's at this point. So for people that have lower Android versions, all you need to do is to just change this to maybe 26 or whatever you want to download. But at this point, I'm downloading 28, API level 28, and then you click enter. All right. So exception in thread. All right. So what this is saying to me is I cannot use Java version 10 to download the platform tools. So I need to downgrade my Java version to a lower version to be able to use it. So that means that this Android's SDK doesn't work with any Java version 8 and above here. So yeah, so we are back now, and I have downgraded the Java version to Java 8. As you can see on my screen, I have Java version 8 now. So what I did was to go to my environment variables. Let me show you, yeah, and pointed my. I went to my environment variables. I'm sure every one of us, we all know how to do that. And I went to my Java home, and then pointed my Java home to Java 8. And I also ensured that my path to the bin folder for Java 8 is also I have this pointed out. So this is what I've done here. So basically, rather than having to type the whole path to your Java 8 folder, where your Java 8 folder is, what I did was I just put percentage Java, and I copied the Java home. Okay, let me just show you again. So this is what I did. So I just copied this. So this is the name Java home, and this is where it is pointing to. This is my folder. This is the folder path that is pointing to. So if I show you here, let me show you here. If I go to C programs, program files, Java. So now I have my Java pointing. So this is Java 8 and Java 10. So so what I did was I copied. I went into my Java 8, copied the path, and I used it as my Java home. And then I went into I used my Java home here, and then I went into my path, my C path. So if I open my C path, and then so I just put. You can copy. To be honest, what you can do is you can either leave it like this. Let me show. So you can either do it this way. You can either do it this way. Hold on, please. You can either do it this way. So you go back to your file location. You copy the path, and then you go back here, and then you put the location before the bin. Okay, I've done the wrong thing. You put the location before the bin. So you can either do it that way. So basically, it's the same thing. But I've just, what I've just done is just you can do this way. So if you click OK, and OK, and OK, and then if you go back here, if you type your Java version, it will point to Java 8. All right. So now let's go back to what we were trying to do was we were trying to download platform API level 28 for Android version. So we said that we have Android version 8, and we are trying to download API level. Just hold on, please. Let me go back to the site so that we do what we are doing. All right. So we looked at the so as I said to you, so once you switch on your Chrome and you have your mobile phone attached to your machine, then it will ask you whether you want to view your mobile phone on your Windows machine on your computer. So I said, so I have Android version 8. The API level is 26 to 27. But if you download an API level that is higher than your Android version, it should still work for your Android version. So we'll go back to this website, developer.android.com/studio/command-line/SDK manager. So I've shown you how to navigate to this site. You copy your platform tools using the SDK manager. So you copy this command to run your platform tool, and then you go back to your bin folder for the you go back to where you stored or extracted your SDK. Before I do that, let me just quickly do something. Let me just rename this to something more suitable. So SDK, let me call it Android SDK tools. Yeah, that's it. So you open up your Android SDK tools. You navigate to the bin folder. In your bin folder, because we are using this SDK manager.bat to install our platform tools, you open this page up in this folder up in command prompt. All you need to do is to type CMD, click enter, and you're there. And then you paste this command from which we copied off from the Android Studio SDK Manager documentation page, and then you click enter. So yeah, you can see that now it is working. Before I had that Java language exception coming up, and then I'm accepting the license. I click yes and click enter, then it start downloading. So you can see that it started downloading now. So what that means is that the SDK manager can only work for Java versions 8 downward. Yeah, so I would suggest that if you have that same issue, if you have Java 12 or whatever on your machine and you're having that issue, download a lower version of Java, point to your Java home and your configure your environment variables to point to Java 8, and then you should have this working. So basically, you can have 2 Java versions on your machine, and as when the need arises, you can then point it to the right Java version for you to use. So I'm waiting for this to work, to start extracting. And while this is happening, I just need to show you something. Oh, all right. I need to show you something quickly. So if I come here, let me just quickly show you something. If I come here and I type ADB devices, I'm getting this message saying 8db is not recognized as an internal or external command. But once I install the download and install the SDK platform manager that we are doing now, and we set up, but yeah, what happened? Okay, yeah, that's fine. So it's worked now. So it's what happened now is that the platform tool has been downloaded and unzipped, and then if we go back to this folder, the Android SDK folder that we had. So if I go back here, so if I go back here, so initially I had this folder, tools folder only, but now I have the platform tools folder. Now I have the licenses folder, I have the platforms folder, and then uh, this other folder. So the platform tools has been downloaded, and this is the platform tool. This is the API level and all the required uh, files in the platform tools. So basically, it's extracted, and we have our platform tools for the API level on the machine now. So the next thing for us to do is to configure this. Is to set the environment variables for the platform tools. So what I'm going to do now is to go to my environment variables again, open up. So for people that don't know how to go here, so you can either type your environment variables from the spyglass, or you can come here, go to this PC, right click the PC, click on properties, click on advanced system settings, environment variables, and then it brings you up to your system variable. So we're going to be adding the Android home to our system variables, and also the path to the C path to, and also the platform tools path to the C path. So now one thing that we need to know here is that for the Android, now I think so there seems to be an issue here now. 1 second. So this hasn't been copied correctly. Bear with me 1 second. I'm just going to quickly do something. Alright, so what we're going to do, for you to set up the Android home, the Android home is the location where your actual SDK tool folder is, which is basically this location. That is your SDK. That is the location of your, that is where you're going to be putting your Android home. So if I copy this location, copy, and go to my environment variables, and then click it new, and then type Android underscore home, and then put the location for where the tools is. I'll just go, alright, hold on. This looks a bit different, but yeah, that should work anyway. And then so that is how you set up your Android home. So it has to be the location where it has to be, sorry, okay, yeah, I may be confused, but I know the reason why I'm confused now, but it's alright. So the Android home, so let me do this again, just so that I don't confuse people. So you open up the folder where it is being where you extracted your Android SDK tools. You copy the path like this. You copy the path, and then you click new. You type in Android underscore home, and then you put the path there as your Android home, and click OK. and then you go to your C program. Sorry, you go to your path, and then you click new, and then you go back to the folder location, click on platform tools, and then copy the path of the platform tools. Copy the path of your platform tools, and yeah, and then you paste it there in your path. Click OK. Click OK. Yeah, I'm going to do that again. Yeah, all right. So if I now go back to my command prompt and I type ADB devices and click enter, still not seeing this. I hope I don't have to restart my computer again. Hold on. So let me just be sure that everything is working fine. All right. So okay, what I'm going to do, I'm going to rename this. It might be as a result of the name. Let me just do something. Rename. All right. So I've changed the name. So wait, no, I have to change the name again. Hold on. I have so many. I have it opened up somewhere. Why is it? Oh, I have to close this as well. No, I'm just going to close all the. Yep, that's it. So good. Okay. All right. So what I'm going to do, go back to my environment variable. Yeah, I'm going to. So once you open up the file, just copy the path where the file is. Once you open up the folder, just copy the path and then store the path as your Android home and go back to the folder, click on platform tools and copy the path for the platform tools and then paste it on your path, on your C path. So I have here Android SDK. Cool. Yes. That's it. So if I should run the command prompt again, ADB devices, ADB, yeah, that's it. All right. So as you can see on my screen, it's I have my mobile phone connected to the Windows machine. So it says list of devices attached. This is the UDID of the device. So basically that's how you would install your platform tool for the API level of your Android device, and then you would also have to install Visor for you to be able to connect your device to your Windows machine. And then once you have that done, then if you type in the command as I did now, ADB devices, you should be able to see the device attached to the Windows machine coming up on the command prompt. All right, so